Yo, what's going on guys? CultOfMush back at it with another video, and in this video, I'm going to be giving you guys 5 tips for new PC gamers. Now, this video is not going to cover any technical or hardware related talk, rather this is going to be a couple of other details that sometimes I don't cover on this channel, and just 5 tips that are going to help your overall experience as a PC gamer. So with that being said, let's get right into this with number 1. Number 1, you have the option to use a controller. It is baffling to me that some people still don't know about this. Yes, you can pretty much use any game controller on PC as long as it's connected via USB. I personally use an Xbox One controller, you can use an Xbox 360 controller, you can use a PlayStation 4 controller. Personally, I like the Xbox One controller the best. If you guys can invest in an Xbox One Elite controller, those controllers are sick. And while some people may be off-put by the fact that you will need a mini USB cable for a lot of the controllers, for the Xbox 360 controller and the Xbox One controller, you can buy a wireless dongle that will connect the controller wirelessly. So at that point, you're pretty much getting a console experience with that. Now also keep in mind that I would not recommend using a controller in multiplayer games. You're gonna get wrecked by the people that are using keyboard and mouse. Keyboard and mouse just gives you a lot more precision, a lot more accuracy. If you're getting into competitive shooters, do not use a controller. That's a terrible idea if you're playing against people that are using a keyboard and mouse. However, for single player games, for RPGs, anything like that, I do prefer to use a controller since I am a fan of the console-like experience. Now, obviously, there are times where I'm playing something like an RTS. Obviously, in that scenario, I'll be using a keyboard and mouse. You just can't play an RTS well with a controller. But that's the beauty of PC gaming. You get the option to decide, do you want to use a controller? Do you want to use the keyboard and mouse? But I've heard so many times people say that I do not want to use a keyboard and mouse and that's why I don't want to get into PC gaming. Well, you can pretty much use any of your favorite controllers on PC. Number 2, never spend $60 on a game. Especially in 2016, spending $60 on a game just seems absolutely ridiculous to me. These days, not only do games get their price reduced a few months after release, especially with things like the Steam sale, I've seen a game that would be released in September and then during the Steam Winter Sale it would have its price cut by 50%. Not only that, even if you're pre-ordering games, if you use sites like Green Man Gaming, you can usually pre-order games on a discount too. Not that pre-ordering is that good of an idea these days, but even if you want to buy a game day of release, you can find it less than $60. Yes, you can buy it off Steam for $60. But go on websites like Green Man Gaming, G2A, a lot of people use them these days. You can get games for very, very cheap. Even on the day of release, you can pick them up for 20% off. I remember when Fallout 4 was released, Green Man Gaming was selling keys for that game for $48. That's a nice discount to have on a newly released game. Number 3 is something that I personally do a lot. I don't see a lot of other people recommending this, but what I like to do is because there are so many games on Steam, and sometimes it's just a little mind-boggling with how many games there are, I would take an hour or two, just browse Steam, filter games by what genres you like, and start adding games to your wish list. I do this every 6 months or so, and this is especially great because nowadays with how Steam does their sales, instead of having specific daily deals every day, they put every game in the Steam catalog on sale all at once. So during a sale, it would be kind of lame to actually look through everything, find the games you like, and buy them that way. Instead, what I do is just periodically, I'll go look through what's been released. I'll filter by genres I like. I'm a big fan of RPGs, so I'll filter by role-playing. I'll look through everything that's available just for like an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, and I'll just add games to my wish list. And at this point, I have 371 games on my wish list currently. Now, obviously, I'm not going to be buying all these games, but whenever I do run out of games to play, or whenever a Steam sale starts, I just hop on over to my wish list. I look at what's on sale, I look at what looks cool, and then I'll just buy them that way. Honestly, it wouldn't even be a bad idea if just every few days you just look at the new releases and you look at what games look cool to you. Just add them onto your wish list. You might never buy them. They might turn out to be shitty games. Who cares? They're on your wish list. If they do turn out to be bad, just remove them. You never paid for them. I just think this is a great way to somewhat keep in track of what Steam's putting out because there's so many games coming out these days that it's honestly kind of difficult to keep up with everything. Number 4 is don't obsess over graphics, and this is kind of funny coming from me. If you guys have been following me for like the last few years, I've always been known as a pretty ardent graphics whore. I love eye candy in video games. I've sometimes gotten shit for it. But hey, I like my games to look good. We do spend hundreds upon hundreds of dollars on our PC hardware, and that would kind of suck if our games didn't look good. But over the last year or so, I finally figured out that graphics are so inconsequential to how a game really is. Don't get me wrong, I'll always appreciate a game for looking great, But a lot of people have the mindset that they just want to get into PC gaming to replay all their favorite games and play them at 1080p and max out the settings. And yeah, while the graphics are better on PC, don't get me wrong, they're much better on PC than compared to consoles. At the end of the day, they are the same games. If you don't like the games that are available on console, I'm sorry, but PC gaming is probably not going to do much for you if you're going to play the same games. Yes, the graphics will be better. Yes, you can play the games at 60 frames per second, which that might be a big thing for some of you guys. But honestly, at the end of the day, it's still the same game, and that's kind of the issue with a lot of PC gamers. They'll spend all this money on hardware, and then they never really play games. They don't really like video games. And finally, number 5, some of you guys might find this funny, but I think this is so crucial. I think if you are getting into PC gaming, this should be one of your top priorities, and that is to invest in a good office or gaming chair. Obviously, with PC gaming, most of you guys are probably going to be playing on a monitor. I know you can hook an HDMI cable to your TV and you can get the console-like experience, but when I talk to most PC gamers, chances are they're playing on a monitor. For the longest time, I was using a generic white fold-out chair, and let me tell you guys, that was some of the most uncomfortable gaming I have ever done. And why I was just using this white fold-out chair is because I would look at the price of like some of these gaming chairs, like the DX Racer, and I was just like, oh my god, $300 for a gaming chair. And don't get me wrong, you definitely don't have to spend $300. You can find decent chairs for like $80 to $150. And even that, a lot of you guys might find that stinging to your wallet, but let me tell you guys, please do it. Do not use a generic white fold-out chair like I was doing for the longest time. I now have a DX Racer. I just invested in it, and it was the best investment ever. No more being hunched over. It was just so uncomfortable, and I implore you guys, don't even go down that route. If you're buying a gaming PC, make sure you're gonna have a good setup. Make sure you're gonna have a nice chair. It doesn't have to be a DX Racer or anything special like that, but just invest in a decent office chair that's like $100, and trust me, your back will be thanking you for it. So yeah, that's gonna wrap up this video, guys. I know I had some wacky off-the-wall kind of tips, but I really wanted to mention the fact that you should invest in a good gaming chair. And the fact about the Steam wishlist. I think the Steam wishlist is something that's very underutilized, especially with today's climate with Steam having so many games. So as always, guys, thanks for watching. If you have a request for a future video, leave it in the comment section down below. And as always, guys, have a great day, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.